Zaynab, bonjour. Thank you so much for joining me in my podcast today.
My pleasure.
Thank you. I would like to introduce you briefly. You are the founder of ZS Camouflage.
Yes.
It's a unique cosmetic tattoo salon, and your goal is to help people overcome their struggle due to scarring related to surgery or injury.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You have a very unique business model, and you found out a few years ago that the current market in Australia, the scarring product market, was not actually doing the job properly, and you decide to solve this problem. And you have one salon in Sydney, one in Melbourne, and you are currently expanding. So I'm very happy to have you here and hear a lot about you, your business, and how you decided to go ahead with this business idea. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. I'm excited to share my story with everyone.
Thank you, Zaynab. So now my first question is, tell me a bit more about your journey, because ZS Camouflage is, as I said, it's really unique. Not everyone is doing that. So can you tell me more about your journey and how you came with this idea? Yes.
Actually, the journey started, I've always been into beauty. So at the age of 17, I actually was a beauty therapist.
Yes.
And I absolutely loved my job. I loved what the confidence boost that it would give to women after they received their treatments. And so ZS Camouflage actually came from my divorce back in 2017.
Okay.
I had just gotten out of divorce, and I had lost all my confidence, and I was second doubting myself and my capabilities. So I remember one night I was laying in bed for a couple of hours just strolling through, and I was really hungry, and I was eager to prove to myself that I could be something more. I want to do something more. And so that eagerness and that hunger drove me here, because I just, honestly, and so many people ask me the same question: how did this come about? So that's how it came about, with just eagerness, determination to prove something. And all I could find was all these new machines, etc., that weren't a permanent fit. The thought just came to me. I thought, why don't we use skin color inks and cover up anything on our bodies permanently? And when I had that thought, that's it. From then on, I woke up and I was just eager to start right away.
You had your why.
Yeah. As soon as I have my idea, there's nothing that can stop me.
Stop you.
It was exciting, yeah.
Very exciting. You had a difficult time. You were struggling and you were lacking of self-confidence, and you realized that there is something that needed to be done.
Yeah.
And so you developed your own technique of blending pigments and inks. Is that right?
So when I had first started, nobody else was doing this, so it was really difficult. I would call up tattoo companies and all these different companies and ask them, can I buy skin-colored inks? But nobody knew what I was on about. But it wasn't going to stop me, because I had this idea and I just was just so determined to get there. I'm going to do it. And I ended up figuring it out. When you have something that not just is going to be great for my life and my career, but I'm so excited to tell all these women that, look what I've thought of. So it pushed me to get there. And I had, especially there's a lot of people, women and men, both women and men, that have vitiligo.
Yes.
So vitiligo is when you have the skin patches on your body, and there is no cure in Australia or all over the world for this. Mm-hmm. There are a few things you can do, light therapy, etc., but it's not a cure. And so when I realized that what I can do is a cure and can help these people that struggle with it, that was the biggest push for me to help those people.
Helping others.
Yeah.
So this is where it all came from, because I know it's very difficult. You started something that was unknown in Australia. You probably had so many issues, so many pushback, but yes, I was trying to understand what made you keep going.
At the beginning stages, it wasn't easy, because I would call up tattoo companies, ink companies, insurance, everyone and everywhere I could think of, and nobody knew what I was on about. They didn't know camouflage even existed. So that would be the hardest part. But because I still knew that it was a great idea, what I did was I actually rented out a room for 3 months. And I remember within that 3 months, I had one client. And I still remember that client.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was tricky. I returned back to full-time being in HR and finance at a company, building company. But I remained doing this on the weekends. So I balanced my life out like that. Obviously, being a single mom with 2 children, I had to have the finance to look after them.
So you were working in the week, and on the weekend you were working on your project.
Yes, I was doing that. And after the 3 months were up, I had started to come up with different ideas on, I didn't want to give up, so I come up with other ideas. And I learned a lot from my brothers. So the company I worked for was a building company for my brothers. I learned from them that even though they were quite successful, there was never a time where it was smooth sailing. So they always had problems and curveballs thrown at them, but they dealt with them. And so I learned that just because a problem comes up or it rises, it doesn't mean that's it, end of my business. I kind of turned it into failures for me were becoming just, oh, I've now learnt this. This was wrong. I've learnt this. And so I was getting better at what I was doing. And I feel like that did help me. And there was a saying that I've been living by for a long time. And it is, if somebody that could read the future told you that you had 100 fails to endure before you were able to reach your goals, how excited would you be for your first failure or your 50th?
Yes.
Yeah. So failure to me is only learning.
That's very powerful. Thank you for sharing that. I absolutely agree with you. It's sometimes very difficult to accept that and to realize that you are learning and it's part of the process, it's part of the journey. But I think once you have this type of mindset, nothing can stop you.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, when you set yourself goals, small goals, and you watch yourself, just small goals, 1 month, 3 months, 5 months, which is what I did. I watched myself be able to get to those goals. And once you see that, the sky's the limit.
That's very good. You mentioned a bit earlier the rule of the 8-8-8.
Yes.
Can you tell me more?
I live by, it's called the 8+8+8 rule. So I distribute my day into 8 hours. 8 hours of sleep and rest, 8 hours for my personal life and children, and then 8 hours for work. And it's helped me quite a lot. The 8 hours, I make sure that I get my sleep and my rest. So no work, the kids are asleep, and that time is just for me to rest. And then the 8 hours of work, even if I finish work early, I make sure I actually add that 2 hours in the evening or wherever it may be, and the 8 hours spent on just family and myself. My life is crazy busy, but when you love what you do, and I love what I do, everything is exciting for me. And to be honest, my daughter, I have a daughter and a son, Ayan Hamza, and my daughter is actually my biggest motivation. Just this morning, I told her I was coming here and I dropped her off to school and she came back to the car. I had to open my window and she said, Mum, she says, have confidence, say what you want to say, be brave. And I love hearing that, and it just means I'm doing a good job. So it's always going to be crazy busy.
She's very sweet. She's your first supporter. She's your first fan. That's beautiful. I think what you are doing will give grounds to believe that she can achieve anything she wants in life. And this is really inspiring.
Yeah. And you know what? Having a vision board, I learned that also from my brothers. They always had vision boards up. And I remember going to Officeworks and I bought this massive vision board and it was sitting in my living room. So anyone that would come over would look at this and I just jot down all my ideas that I had, but I had like 3 months, 6 months, and I'd do that. I needed to see it in front of me to make sure that I was on the right track.
And you were updating it with time?
I was always updating it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd wake up, in the morning, at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, and I'd come up with an idea, and I'd force myself out of bed, and I'd quickly write it so that I could.
Definitely good entrepreneur here. Yes. You learned that every failure was actually a learning, which is impressive. What was, according to you, your biggest failure and how did you overcome it?
That's a very good question. I actually have not thought of that. I haven't thought of that because I think so positively about it. But
that's very good.
About it now, I would say still not pushing myself hard enough. Actually, no, it would be that I didn't ask for enough help. I've always been that way. I want to do things and I'm a very, very private person. So every time I struggled, whatever it may be, my personal life or work, I didn't like to reach out. And so I wish I did back then. If you have help, if you have somebody that could help with your kids, if you have questions to ask about insurance, about work, whatever it may be, reach out, ask questions to friends, to family, to anyone. So that's, I guess, the biggest. Maybe not fail, but something I wish I had
done more.
Yes.
Ask for help. Yes. We women, I believe, are very strong, and we always believe we can do everything, even if we are internally struggling so much and dying inside. Asking for help is a big thing, and I can relate so much with you about that. It's not easy. Now, how are you different than your old self last year?
I feel like whenever I look back at 6 months or 1 year, I honestly feel like I almost don't know who that person is. Only because I'm still constantly growing. But a lot of this stems from actually my divorce. Sometimes you're in a marriage and you're not growing. You're in there, you're looking after the kids, you're on a survival mode. So you're not growing throughout those years, depending on what marriage you're in, of course. Like, this is my personal experience. I felt like when I got out of that marriage, I looked at the world as it was totally different to when I was younger, when I got married. And so I've just been learning every year since, whether it be clients, my biggest motivators when they come in and they tell me, like, you know, you've done such a good job, I can now wear a dress, I can now do this. And so that gives me confidence. Every year I'm growing to the person that I want to be, and I guess I should have been if I hadn't gone through what I had gone through.
Yes.
So that's also making myself, to be honest, my biggest cheerleader for myself. And there is something actually that might help a lot of women that has helped me. One time it was Mother's Day, and the children go to school and you give them money and they buy the same cups and candles every year with your receive. And she got me a magnet, and it's still on my fridge. It says, love yourself the way that you want to be loved. And I keep it there, and I love it.
She is wonderful, your daughter. She has this emotional intelligence. Oh my God,
I
you're doing a
that.
very good job.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I think we all are doing a great job, the best we know how. By having this, I realized that a lot of the times we criticize ourselves the most. You know, when we look in the mirror, we doubt ourselves. Why is my hair this way? Why do I do? It's just our own voices. And so every time I'm struggling with something, whether it be what I look like at the moment or whether it be to do with work, I always think of myself as somebody else. So as my daughter, mum, sister, and I think if that was somebody treating my sister that way, or if my sister was saying that to herself, I would stop it immediately and say, don't think that way, don't do that. And so I've learned to talk to myself the way that I talk to others that I care about. And I would say that's what's helped me grow throughout the years.
Very good advice. So now I would like to know, where do you see you next year, and where do you see your business? I know you started to expand, which is amazing.
Yes. I have a few things in mind. They were meant to be secret, but that's okay. I have a range coming out soon, a skincare range. But knowing me, I don't want something ordinary. So I'm developing intimate skin range. I have a lot of clients come in and they've always asked me, can you cover up my intimate areas? And I actually decline them. I can do them, but I decline because I just felt like it didn't really look natural. And I always turn down people that I feel like I'm not going to do the best job on them. And so this will target those areas. So I'm super excited for that to come out maybe early next year.
That's
Been
amazing.
a couple of years in the making. And something else for 2025, I am branching out with ZS Camouflage, and it will not be in Australia. That's all I can say.
You're expanding worldwide.
Yeah, I'm hoping
That's amazing.
It's 2025. I don't know if I'm going to get there, but I'm excited and I'm just going to go for it and just throw myself there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you have such a niche business, and I do believe you probably see it. The demand is there. So I'm really confident with what the future brings you. That's exciting. Talking about your daughter and your kids a bit earlier, I love the fact that they are pushing you. They are your biggest supporter. From what I can hear, your children seems to be in the right space. How did you do that?
Look, I still struggle like every other mum, whether she be married or not married with my children. There's always curveballs thrown at us. If I've done the right job, and we're always doubting ourselves, it's always going to be that way. I have a very, very honest relationship with my children, and because I'm very real with them, and I want them to see sometimes if I am stressed, I show them. They see that I'm stressed. If I'm emotional, they'll see that I'm emotional. But I think one thing that I always do with them is, and I think that this is the way I guess most of us work, is Even though I had an amazing upbringing, I found myself to be very quiet growing up, and I wasn't able to speak and say things that I wanted to say. So because I knew that that's what I needed at the time, I tried to put that on my children. Anything that I feel like I needed, I would do that for my daughter. If I see her looking in the mirror, I'll come in and make sure, and I tell her, you look so beautiful. Or if she's doubting herself in school, I just make sure I'm pushing her and I'm her biggest supporter.
Would you have any advice to women who are very busy with the household, the life, work or not work, the kids, just life, like women are always taking up so much on, but still want to pursue their dreams or their goal? What would you say to them?
I have so many women that come in every day, and I'm always talking about business with them, and they tell me you should be an entrepreneur, because I keep trying to push women, and they always say the same thing. It's the same pattern. They say, they're always waiting for something. So I'm waiting to lose weight first before opening my business. I'm waiting to break up with my boyfriend. I'm waiting to travel first. They're always waiting. And my biggest advice would be to tell these women, just to start before you're ready. Don't wait until you're ready to start, because if we keep waiting until we're ready, we're always going to find excuses. And the truth is, we're finding these excuses because we're scared. So my advice is, and to everyone that wants to start a business and has all these excuses, just jump in, and the momentum will follow through. That's my advice.
Absolutely.
That helped me, and I feel like just like I mentioned before with me wanting to expand to overseas, it's a crazy idea, but I just throw myself in there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for all this insight. Now I have a segment that I call the French segment, because I'm French.
Yes.
And basically I ask you a few questions about France and French people, if that's okay.
I don't know much about France.
That's okay. That's okay. What do you like about French or France? Or if there is anything that you like about it, maybe.
I would just say the clients that I have met that are French, all of them are I absolutely love French people, but I find French people are very direct. And every time they come in and I ask them, how do you find Australia? Or what do you like about it? They say, I love Australia, but I find the people are too nice. Just, cut the bullshit and just tell me as is. So I love that.
This is so true. Yeah. That's so funny. When I arrived in Australia, everyone was like, hey, how are you doing, darling? And then hugging you. Yeah. And I'm like,
do you really want to know what I'm doing?
Exactly. Yeah. You don't care, to be honest. You just say hi. You don't need to go through that.
Is that how it is in France?
Yes, we're just we can say, oh, ça va, but we just say hello, hello, and that's it. As you said, we are quite very direct and we don't really care.
I love that.
What is your favorite French drink or food, if you have one?
I actually have never tried French food.
Oh my God! Okay.
I would love to.
Do you like cheese?
I love cheese.
Okay, so you're already...
Okay.
Yeah,
yes, I love cheese then. Stop that.
Okay.
But I've actually never tried French food.
Okay. I need to give you some French restaurant recommendation. And can you say one word in French?
You probably need to cut that because I don't know anything. Well, tell me a word. What's his name?
Inuit.
Okay, Inuit. I know Inuit.
Very good.
Yes. That's all.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Zaynab, for your time. It was fantastic. We got so many insights. I wish you all the best for your future and the expansion of your business. You are doing to do well. And you know why I know that? Simply because from experience with people that I interviewed, I can know that when your why comes from your hurt, there is nothing that can stop you. And I can see it, you're passionate about what you do. So thank you so much for your time.
Well, my pleasure. I loved coming here and meeting you and learning some French. So thank you for coming. And I hope that anything I've said can help others.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.